So the next thing we're going to do on this is address this headstock. So when I showed it to my brother how it didn't match the body, he wants me to take care of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start taking all this hardware off, and we are going to tape this off. We're going to sand this down, and then we will bring that headstock back to natural maple. Hopefully that, you know, whatever dye or tint or whatever he used didn't go in too deep, and then, you know, we're able to take that out fairly easily. So we're going to grab some tools. We're just going to pull this off. And I think I'm even going to pull the nut off, because I want to see what it looks like under there, and we're gonna end up having to redo some of that stuff anyways, because I want to make sure that that thing is the right height. So one of the things that I've used, and I highly recommend you guys do it, is for parts. I took these old tuna cans and I just bent down the edge so it's not all sharp, so when you rub your hand on there you don't cut it. And I take all the, whatever job I'm doing, I take all the tools and I put them in there. It is a pain after you've, you know, worked so hard on fixing something and you go to put it back together and you cannot find the parts. Okay, there's the tool I'm looking for. All right, I also want to highly recommend this. This still has the blue tape on. I just keep it on here just to protect the finish. So this is a ESP multi-tool. So if you're tightening, hopefully you guys can see this. It's serrated over here, so it's got like a little jaws over here, and then it's on this side. So if you're tightening it, you're going to use it like this, and you can fit it in pretty narrow areas, and you're just going to stick that in there, and then you use that to tighten it, and then you use the other side to loosen it. So these are pretty nice, and they definitely come in handy for, you know, for multiple sizes, instead of having to, you know, go and grab, you know, 15 different size sockets when you're working on an electric guitar. You just grab one of these and you just loosen this stuff up, and then, well, he had these really tight. So we're just going to take the rest of this off, all this hardware. And these are not staggered, so it's not a big deal. So we're going to pull these off. We got to unscrew the back, and then we will come back, and then we'll start sanding off the headstock. All right, guys, just I guess a little tech tip. It doesn't need to be that tight. It just needs to be snug. I had to bust out all these tools just to get this off. And I mean, I don't know if you just heard that creak, but these things are ridiculously tight. You should be able to take it off with one of these. It should just go in there, bam, loosen it up, take it out. You shouldn't have to, you know, bust out the whole toolbox to get these off. Another thing that I've done too, little tech tip too, if you're taking stuff like this off, and I'll show you it on this one. I already did it on this one. So I labeled that number 1. And I taped the screw that came with this one that went into the back on, because these are go-to 510, so they have a screw back here, and then of course they have the 10mm nut up here. So we're going to loosen this first. Unscrew this, pop it out, screw this in just a couple of times just to keep it there. Put this back here like this. Just take your little tape. You do it however you want, as long as you can keep that screw in there. Just kind of tape it around that screw, and then I'm just going to label this one number 2. That way when you go to put it back in, you'll put it back in the same order, and then you won't have any lost parts. So I'm going to show you, I don't know if you guys will be able to hear this, but I'm going to get close. Wow, that is crazy tight. So just a little tech tip, you know, you don't need to crank these down that tight. Just snug, that's it. Alright, well, we'll be back when everything is taken off. Neck is all taped up, as you can see. So obviously this was left from when we did the fret, when we did this side of the fretboard, so we're just going to leave that. So he wanted me to tape off the sides. He only wants to do the face, and I'm going to send him a picture, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So make sure you tape this off good. And again, back to the tuners. Those things were extremely tight, guys. It just, I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. You can see, I don't think these were on there that long either, but you can see it's actually dented where they put the tuners in. It does not need to be that tight. So once again, we've labeled all of these 1 through 6. So now we're going to start sanding this off. I also taped off where the nut is, and let me get right here too. I just want to make sure that as we're sanding, you know, we can get all the way up to the line where the nut is. If the nut is installed, it's going to be really hard to get up in this area. And we also want to put a couple layers here to protect the end of the fretboard in case we slip a little bit while we're sanding. We don't want to damage that and take a chip out of it or anything like that. So I highly recommend you guys use this Scotch Blue Painter's tape or the 3M. This well, actually this is Scotch Blue, but it's made by 3M, I guess. It says Scotch Blue 2080 EL. So I believe this is the one that has, one of the ones that I have has a little bit stronger strip on the very edge. So if you're masking something off, just that edge is really, really, you know, a little bit tighter, so you don't get, you know, any bleed through, especially if you're, you know, doing house painting or whatever. So we're just going to start sanding this off, and then hopefully this stain or whatever they used to finish it did not go in too deep, and then we'll be able to get this back. I think we're going to have to use something a little more aggressive because the 600 grit is just polishing it. So let me try and use this sanding block. So I want to keep it nice and straight on here, and I'm hoping that this comes off. So we're going to continue sanding this until we get down to maple. So I think I'm going to have to get another sanding block because this does not seem to be doing too much. So I will be back with a more aggressive sanding block, and then we'll show you what it looks like when we're done. Alright, after a lot of sanding, you can see we got the headstock back down to maple. Get rid of that reddish color that it still is on the back. So I'm going to send these pictures of my brother, and then we'll decide if we're going to strip this whole thing back to maple and then do it in the same finish or not. Alright, so that is it for now, and then we'll do a follow-up. Okay, so we're back again. So we finished sanding off the headstock, and I just wiped it down real quick, let it dry out a little bit, get that all that dust off of it, at least off the front. So what I did was I put 1 coat of tru-oil on here just to show my brother. The one thing about tru-oil is it definitely shows you every little mistake. So there's a few fine scratches in here, so we'll get that out with some 320 and then go down to some 600. So you can see what it looked like from the side. So I sent him pictures of this, waiting for his decision, but I really would like to see this next strip down. This tru-oil just really brings out, you know, that nice figuring, and there's even some bird's eye in here, which I didn't even see before with the other color. So you can see a little bit of bird's eyeing in here. and some nice, nice figuring. And with this red on the back, it's actually got the same thing, but it's so hard to see because it's such a, matte finish, and it just seems to cover it up. So I'm going to recommend to him to strip the whole thing, because now when you go like this, hopefully you guys can see that, now you've got a 3-color guitar. So you're going to have this, then this, and then this on the back. So I just sent him a picture of this a few minutes ago, so we'll wait the decision, but I'm going to highly encourage him to get rid of this this red stain, and then you'll just have the 2 colors. You're going to have the nice maple neck. It'll show all this bird's eye and figuring, and it's going to be awesome. So that's it for now. So shoots, aloha. This video is over. We'll continue this video later with the rest of the neck, whatever he decides to do. All right, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we've got the neck back on the bench again. So in the last video, we took off all the tuners, we stripped it down, so we sanded down this neck. So I hope you guys can see this. I'm going to kind of move this around in the light. So I sent a picture of this to my brother, and there's some bird's eyeing here. There's a little bit of flaming in this wood. So I decided to do the back, and I hope you guys can pick that up. Kind of put it in a couple different places, but the same thing. There's some more bird's eye and some flame on the back. So I just got off the phone with my brother, convinced him we're going to strip this whole thing down, because I see some more bird's eyeing over here, and there's a lot of flaming in here. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing out, but it's kind of hidden by this finish on here, and this red stain or whatever. It's kind of splotchy. I don't know if you noticed, but there's like some parts here, and then it didn't take in certain spots. So we are going to get rid of that. And also right here, if you can make that out, there's also a lot of flaming and stuff going through the headstock. So we are going to work on that. Take this all off. We're going to refinish this whole neck. So keep an eye out for the next video where we do that. Thank you very much. Aloha. All right, as always, thanks again for watching my video. Please subscribe and like the video, and also click the bell icon so you'll be notified when I post new videos. Aloha from Jim's Guitar Garage. Mahalo.